Greetings, folks. This is DC Investing. I've reached financial independence, and I talk about topics that may help others on their pathway to financial independence. And the subject I wanted to talk to today is a way to think about money and investing and expenditures, and a way to kind of frame your goals for investing in a healthy way that can really propel you on your path to trying to really like saving more. And I was this week watching a podcast called, I think it's called the Iced Coffee Hour. And the conversation was mainly between Graham Stephan and Andre Geek. um, and both of those guys I've listened to off and on throughout the past while. And it was interesting because they were talking about some of their thinking about money and how they really propelled themselves into wanting to invest and also wanting to control their expenditures. And early on, both of these guys really tried to live as frugally as they possibly could. And what that did is gave them a bunch of money to be able to invest. And then once they invested, then they got more freedom in their life. Eventually, both of them became much more wealthy because they, got into YouTube and started, teaching other people about this stuff. But they got their big breaks because they had financial freedom in their lives because of how frugal they were and what they did in their investing. And so the one of the things that they were talking about that I think is just really healthy is they were trying to justify expenditures. And they said whenever they would try to purchase something, they kind of had a rule whether they were going to purchase it or not. And the rule was, if I had to get this item or this different lifestyle purchase, but I could only use my investments, do I have enough invested in order to pay for this item? And so the quick example that they had was Netflix. And the cost of Netflix, it was like $12.50 a month or something. So over the course of a year, that's $138 of a spend for Netflix. And so the trick is to take that $138 and on a calculator divide it by the number 0.04, and that's 4%. So you take that number 138 divide by 0.04, and that turns out to be $3,456. And what that means is that in order to afford your Netflix from just investing, you have to have invested $3,456, and then the increase in the stock market that on average that $3,400 will generate will pay for your yearly Netflix subscription. And so the rule was, if I don't have an investment that's paying for my Netflix, then I can't have my Netflix. I can't afford it. I need to work more. I need to save more. And so once I've saved more, then I can get that particular item. And so the way they were thinking goes was, I have to first have saved $3,456 before I can afford Netflix. And then for something like, a daily coffee that might cost $5, if you take you're getting those on the weekdays, so that's 5 times a week and 52 months. Your daily coffee would cost $1,300 a year. So if you take 1,300, divide it by 0.04 or 4%, that gives you, you need, let's see, $32,500 saved before your investments can pay off your coffee. And so the rule would be, if you don't have $32,500 saved, then you cannot afford that daily $5 latte. And it becomes kind of a game to try to see, how do I save more, invest it so that my investments pay for my lifestyle? And they just kind of continued on with this. And the same is true for a car. Let's say you have $1,000 a month, or just a little less, $800 or $900. I'm not sure what it is. Let's say your yearly car payment is $10,000. Do you have enough in investing to be able to afford that payment, yearly $10,000 payment in a car? And so if you take $10,000, divide it by 0.04, that gives you, you have to have $250,000 saved and invested in the market before you can actually afford that car payment. And so the rule would be, until you have $250,000 invested in the market, you can't afford a $10,000 a year car payment. So you got to buy something cheaper. And so that's kind of a fun game, and it's a fun way to start learning about how investments can really work for you, is to kind of consider every purchase that you do and think, do I have enough invested so that this item is free to me, that my investments are paying for this? And so that process is, take anything you do. It could be the food you buy every month, your utility costs, the cost for internet, anything you do. And really the game is to try to save and invest enough funds to try to make those things free to you, because your investments are throwing off enough increase to cover those. So I think that's a really healthy method, um, to try to teach yourself that it's fun to save, it's fun to invest, and the goal is to try to have enough invested so that your whole lifestyle is free and that you actually don't need a W-2 job any longer. So that's kind of the thought. It's a fun game. I think it's really healthy, and so I thought I'd share that with this group as a great way to kind of inspire yourself towards financial independence and retiring early. We'll see you. Bye.